Welcome to the Grow Renaissance podcast. Let's nourish the world.
All right, welcome back to Pasture Prime Time, a Grow Renaissance podcast series hosted by, you know it, Neil Smith. That's me. And today I'm really excited to be joined by Dr. Bob Weil, the sports doctor, who also hosts the Dr. Bob Weil Sports Podiatrist Sports Doctor radio show. I probably said that incorrectly, but I'm sure you'll correct me in just a second with the proper
As soon as you stop
Bob.
talking, I'll correct you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Show's called The Sports Doctor. I've been doing live radio for like 4 decades, give or take a few weeks. So I'm used to interrupting and being interrupted. So it's great to be with you. And again, we pay big attention to the world of nutrition on The Sports Doctor. We always have. And you're at the beginning of the food chain, so to speak. So I'm glad to be with you.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for being here. I'm really curious to pull the thread on where nutrition comes in. So you're a podiatrist. Maybe you could explain for our audience what that means.
Well,
really
again, I'm a foot specialist. So
Right.
we were just celebrating the 40th year of the Super Bowl Shuffle. Half that team was in my orthotics. So I'm a foot specialist, but my radio show includes everything from concussions to parenting to youth sport. Youth sports is a big deal on The Sports Doctor. So is the mental game, where we're talking about, and again, whether you're talking about sticking with your eating program or your exercise routine, we have major scourges in both our countries. Mm-hmm. One is obesity, including childhood obesity, and two is diabetes. As a podiatrist, whatever your activity is, again, let me tell everybody, if you have your pencils out, what the new medicine is. And the new medicine is, number one, eat smarter. Again, it starts with everything you do. We could talk all day about eating smarter, and nutrition's a big deal. Number two is keep moving.
Yep.
This is where I come in many ways, which is, again, whether you want to walk, whether you want to go to the gym, whether you want to do yoga, keep moving. Number three is a big deal. It's reduce stress. We're all familiar with what that means. So as a sports podiatrist, I might be involved with your parents who are trying to play pickleball, or I might be involved with your youngster who's a high-level figure skater, and we're talking orthotics, foot ankle, the importance of the foot ankle. But the sports doctor does include the whole mental game and big-time nutrition. And this is why we try to pay attention, again, like you're talking about the growers, the farmers. You can't spend 5 minutes without speaking what a challenge all of this is. Soil preservation has been a topic I've included on The Sports Doctor for older than you, maybe.
I'll take that. I love it.
All right.
So when it comes to nutrition, I'm really curious in what you think about the new food pyramid that just got released in the U.S.
I'm a big fan of paying attention to the world of additives. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan to paying attention to the world of addictive eating. I have food dilemma experts on many times talking about eating disorders.
Right.
So we're all about education, and it's the Wild West, and it's always been the Wild West, whether it was fast food, whether I've had biohacking experts on. In our group, let's have a shout out to our friends in that one, the Super Podcast group, and C-Rock and all these individuals. And I've had individuals on where we've talked about, again, biohacking. Nobody knew what the word meant. And what the word ends up meaning is lifestyle medicine, functional medicine, paying attention to symptoms. You know who I had on my show a couple of months ago, Neil, was a Taoist from the Netherlands, talking about 2,500-year-old principles like simplicity and compassion and empathy. And he was talking today's sports medicine and how we've still got these ancient. So I include a lot of that pizzazz on The Sports Doctor, where we're talking about, again, the pyramids, Again, there's a lot of expertise. Again, if you are interested in your own obesity concerns, if you're in the middle of this nightmare with now renamed juvenile type 2 diabetes, used to be called adult onset diabetes. Until a dozen of years ago, all of a sudden, there were millions of kids. Where are all these diabetics coming from? So we've all been challenged dramatically to see, and this is my intention, is to get all these kids exercising, the earlier the better, to pay attention to that, and to include big time, your world, the nutrition side, to do something about that, and then good luck to all of us on the mental side. We're dealing with these challenges. I mean, I have a lot of experts on in the world of social media. And I'm a big fan of social media in many, many different ways. It's a great way to get, telemedicine has been a tremendous weapon for so many people in so many areas. But again, you've got on this food pyramid, back to what you asked, we've got the Wild West between supplements. I've had sports pharmacists on the show. It's an interesting, exciting new specialty, Neil. Sports pharmacy, nutritional supplements. What about hormones? What about all these things? So biohacking is a new, wild world. We had some exciting guests on a couple of weeks ago from that one, who was Anthony and Therese Lally with their biohacking media, because we're trying to get a handle on good sense, good science, and good medicine. And this is why the simplicity of the new medicine is so important. And again, we might be talking about, are you or your kids in the best shoe for their foot mechanics? Do you know that half the girls and females I see have knee problems? And I'm a foot specialist.
Wow.
Do you know that a third of the population isn't fit properly? Think about it.
Yeah.
It's true. So again, the more talented your son or daughter is, the more we start getting into trouble with all sorts of, it's why I co-authored the book, hashtag Hey Sports Parents. Now, the next book's going to include sports grandparents because I'm one of them. But the more talented your son or daughter is, whatever the sport is, the more pressure there is.
And where can you get that book?
You get that book on Amazon.
Right on.
My co-author is a Hall of Fame volleyballer, a kinesiologist professor, Sharky Zartman, not who only coached some of the great players, but was one of them, and knows what it's like to grow up expected to be a champion. And it's why I wrote if people go to my website, thesportsdoctorradio.com, they can get an article I wrote. It's called The Prodigy Sports. And the prodigy sports are when your son or daughter is specializing. If your son or daughter is a dancer, if they're a figure skater, I mean, we just celebrated, I can't believe it, the 15th, 16th year that a young, smart aleck from Naperville, Illinois, Evan Lysacek, was 10 years old when I put orthotics in his skates. And 12 years later, he was the Olympic gold medalist.
Wow.
What a ride that was. I'm still putting orthotics in 10-year-old skaters. But where we would see specialization very early, and we're seeing it in sports like tennis. It's, every doctor and therapist wants kids to play multiple sports. We do. We want them to use different parts of their body, different parts of their brains. But the more talented they are, many times, the more it's challenging for the parents or the sports parents. But again, nutrition is in the middle of all of it.
Yes.
And including, pregame meals, including, again, what about these challenges? And the problem is we've got, some craziness going on in health and wellness and in our whole healthcare system. It's a little nuts. And at the same time that we want to pay attention to important things like proper nutrition, whatever's going on with vaccines and all these other kinds of craziness is going to be very challenging for everybody in pediatrics and in medicine. That's why I always ask individuals who might be involved in your world how your sports psychology skills are. How are they, Neil?
You know, I'm a high rocks enthusiast, so endurance racing, and probably I need to have a side conversation after this podcast with you about the right
Well,
shoes.
at the very least,
Yeah,
I would tell you the two exercises. I don't care what your level is
yeah,
or what your sport is. And number one is strengthen your feet and ankles. The
right.
reason 45, 50 years ago, I met the late great sports therapist, Bob Guida. And he was an ex-Mr. America in the 60s, but he was an expert. And he loved the role of the foot, whatever the sport was. He made a big deal out of balance training. So did you say you're a rock climber?
High rocks. It's an endurance racing. High rocks.
Okay. Okay. Then
HYROX.
yes. Then you've got to be in a shoe that's got side to side capability.
Right.
And the reason we talk strengthening the foot ankles, rubber bands, a great way to do it. Tilt boards. There's a great piece of equipment you should own. It's called the Sand Dune Stepper, and it simulates being on the beach.
Okay.
He was a sponsor of mine for years. But the Bosu. And
Right.
so number one, strengthen your feet and ankles. And number two, work balance. When you came into Bob Guida's clinic, every athlete was on a mini trim. And if you were a hockey player, you were swinging a hockey stick. If you were a tennis player, you might be swinging a tennis racket. If you were a ball player, you might have a glove in your hand. And everybody was playing catch. And when you were in different positions on the trim, you know how challenging that could be.
Yeah.
So those are the two things we pay big attention to. And I'll bet you $1 that if you're not in orthotics would be one of the smartest moves you ever make when you're interested in either, number one, preventing problems. I can't think of a sport more challenging than what you might. So what's involved in your sport?
Well, we run 1 kilometer, and then we do a physical exercise like a sled push or a rope pull or burpees, and then you run another kilometer. And so you do 8 events and then 8 kilometers in between. And so it's very taxing. You're trying to do it somewhere in an hour and a half, 90 minutes or under.
Oof. Yes. Yeah. And the idea, again, of training for that, how much foot ankle work do you do?
0.
Okay.
Goose egg.
Well, again, not to be a fanatic, but again, everything you do involves your feet and ankles. Because one of the first things I ask you as the sports doctor, and I do segments for shows. Maybe we'll do something with you guys in the future. I pop in for 10 minutes. I say the sports doctor's in. We answer some questions, but there's nothing you do that you're on irregular surfaces. So first thing I ask you is, how is your history with your back, knees, hips, knees, and ankles?
Terrible.
How have you done?
On too many horses, and I've wrecked myself.
All right.
So
I had equestrians who were in orthotics for knee stability. So many times we see, done properly, orthotics are magic, whether they're in your skates or whether they're in your boots, because orthotics are all about alignment.
Right.
And usually we see that in 40 years of playing around with this, including half the Super Bowl shuffle, orthotics are a big weapon. But again, there's a lot of garbage out there. And as a rule, you can't go wrong putting super feet in your shoes. But you need to be in a cross trainer or a trail shoe, absolutely, with what you do. And then you want to incorporate a few days a week. If you don't know rubber bands well, then you would talk to one of your, you would incorporate every time you're doing, foot ankle is a 3-motion complicated mechanism.
Okay.
If one athlete has high arches and the other athlete has flat feet, everything above changes, including the feet themselves. Plantar fasciitis, number one, the arch and heel problem that we see. But when we're dealing with dudes like you, and we're dealing with somebody who might be, again, at high level of my guest last week, you want to tune in my show, Sean Warner, has climbed every mountain in the world. Swarmer. Do you know him? Neil Swarmer?
Sean.
Anyway,
Yes,
he's in our group.
Yeah.
And again, I'm talking to him the same way I'm talking to you. Which when you're talking about those kind of athletic events, then you want to pay big attention, especially if you got a history.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's missed. if the young girl who's a volleyballer or a tennis player has constantly got shin splints and knee problems, and her feet don't hurt, many times it's missed.
Right.
She'll have surgery first sometimes before somebody would say, hey, man, I've worked for years with the Sharky from the Olympians on down. So for the audience who are dealing with what you're dealing with, this is why we talk about on each other's shows, that our topics are such a big deal. Whether we're talking you and your sport, and if you said to me, hey, look, Doc, I love these shoes. I change them regularly. I am going to, but if you haven't done foot ankle work and you're going to include it, do you do any balance work?
Lots of balance, yeah. Bosu ball and
okay.
Yeah,
sometimes again, how much running, jumping do you do for training?
Lots of jumping and lots of running.
Yeah. Okay. You might see, be smarter. I have a term, I make a big deal out of it, and the higher the level of the athlete, the more it becomes a big deal. It's called intelligent rest.
Okay.
It's called rest and recovery. Yeah. And many times we see, and rest and recovery is mental. It's good sleep. I have experts on all the time. It's such a big topic. I call it the mental game again. I have a famous sports hypnosis specialist from Australia, Sue Williams. She also works with animals, and her specialty is horses and equestrians. Yeah. So when I had said to her, and she'd say, what do orthotics have to do when you're riding a horse? And then we started talking alignment. I had 3 famous sisters moons ago, and that's what they were, also skaters, but they were also high-level equestrians. But everything we're talking about starts with, can I trust my food? Mm-hmm. Not only can I trust the information, should I be fasting? Should I be, one of my contributors to my book, Kate Davis, is a sports nutritionist. Okay. And many times we see, whether you have diabetes in the family, whether you are an athlete, today you have a nutritionist or dietitian somewhere on your team in many instances, and you should have a podiatrist, absolutely, who could make a big difference. And even if he sells you on strengthening, in that situation. The more Guida used to, of course, I'm dating myself. He'd say, I want my athlete's feet to be like von Cliburn's hands. Do you know who von Cliburn was?
I do indeed, actually, yeah.
Famous pianist.
Yeah.
And that's why he had his athletes working on the sand. Okay. And that's why the sand dune stepper or the Bosu. The mini tram is also great. If you look at the mini tram as a clock, if I say, I'm going to have you standing on your left foot at 3 o'clock, you are now pronating everything. Guida would say, strengthen the brakes. So a lot of times when we're dealing with sports like yours, we say, number one, cool it with the amount of running and jumping you're doing. You're already doing a ton of running and jumping. Work the stabilizers. Mm-hmm. And that's what Guida would say, work the brakes. Mm. Think of the athlete coming down for a rebound. Guida would work with the Olympic volleyball players, or when Bob Guida did Jim McMahon's, all of his post-shoulder rehab. And he said, we got to pay attention to his neck and his traps and his core. When Bob Guida talked about the core in the late 70s, people didn't know how to spell it, let alone how important foot balance was. So when you are strengthening the negatives, he'd say, if you're a tennis player and you're swinging the racket 1,000 times a week, I want to work all the areas that slow you down, that work the brakes. And this is what, again, you want to think about in your particular training, as well as, when I have you on the show, we're going to talk about the importance of, is my food safe? With this chaos with farmers and tariffs and all of this stuff going on, and the idea that the soil is getting so depleted, how concerned are you when it comes to what you do, that we can count on the information, starting with the growers and the farmers and the MAGA food industry. What do you think?
Yeah.
How we doing, buddy?
Yeah, if there's a scale, if there's a scale, I'm about 11 or 12 in concern, and that's why I do what I do. We talk about fixing that ecological system. We talk about understanding how we grow more nutrient-dense food, whole foods, and then just how that translates into the things that you're talking about, the sports. What foods do we need to consume during rest and recovery? What foods do we need
I've had
pre-workout
bully
or
experts on.
events?
Yes, I've had bully
Yep.
experts on, Neil,
Yeah.
talking about
So
the
that's
number one reason for bullying was overweight. So childhood obesity, whether it's pain in their feet and legs because of overweight, whether it's being, you know what the number two reason
right.
for being bullied was disabilities. Number three was sexual orientation. So again, the
Really?
idea of adding safe exercise, the new medicine, paying attention to eating smarter, educating ourselves
Mm-hmm.
as parents, organizations,
Mm-hmm.
communities. Number two,
Yep.
whatever you love doing, do it. It doesn't mean you got to be on a team. Most kids by junior high school or above ain't on a team. They're reading their screens. We got to get them early to become part of the, I wrote an article in 2008. It was called Let's Get Them Walking. It was for school systems. Good luck in trying to get the school systems to add many, many different things, but I'm looking forward to having you on, the sports doctor, sometime next month. And anything else on the top of your mind, my friend?
No, I think, Dr. Bob, I've really appreciated some of your feedback and all that you do. Before we go, can you just list off again where people can find your show, where they can tune in to listen to you?
Yes, if people go to thesportsdoctorradio.com, thesportsdoctorradio.com, they could find out about everything I do, the different platforms we're involved with, the National Fitness Hall of Fame, the book. If they go to bbsradio.com // the sports doctor, they could listen to a show I did 10 years ago. If they go to archives, they could find out a lot of exciting stuff. But all the information, thesportsdoctorradio.com. Soon, I've had over 1,000 guests.
Amazing.
Give or take a few. I'm excited about you joining me. And we love to look forward to coming back. It's great to make the connection, Neil. Nice to meet
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bob. And
thank you, everybody.
We'll catch you on the next episode.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye now.